Welcome to Protecting the Legacy, a show sponsored by the Boutique Cigar Association. Grab a cigar and your favorite beverage and join us for the next hour as we tackle some of the most difficult topics in our industry. Now, please join your hosts, Kerr Viajante, Armin Caprellian, and Dr. Gabby Caffey as we dive into this week's hot topics.
Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. We are protecting the legacy, and we have a very special guest tonight. But before we get to our special guest, this is Kerr Viajante. Armin, how you been, man?
I'm good, man. Just as I was getting to know Lars a little bit before we went on the air. By the way, thank you, Carrie and Gabby, for the comments on my last post in regards to the golf outing, the fundraiser for Casa. And I didn't realize that it was such a huge operation, because I had guys like Richard Barbarian, my buddy up in Mass, saying they do a phenomenal job and that he's been involved with them as well. So basically, they're an organization that really takes care of foster kids. And the Cedar Hill Country Club in Livingston, New Jersey, my dear friend Weiser Millman reached out if we can show support and be there with our cigars. So we did, and it was very successful. And it was just great, the presentation that they did, and you see some of these kids, and it's very heartwarming. So that something like that goes a lot further than selling a few boxes of cigars. So
Fantastic,
thank you, brother.
man.
So we were happy to be a part of that. And tonight we have Lars Tetens on. And
what are you drinking? What are you smoking?
All right, so I'm going a little lighter today. I'm going with our Prima Natural with our Connecticut wrapper. And
I like that one. That's a great. I know it's evening, but for me, it's a great morning cigar with coffee.
Thank you, brother. And in fact, I am having coffee and water.
Cafecito. Very nice.
Exactly.
My man Gabby, what are you drinking? What are you smoking, buddy?
Oh, it's Friday. Good evening, guys. I'm smoking this right here, which is a variety of no-name brands. Actually,
I was going to say, why is he holding it so?
They don't have any cigar brands. I don't promote any cigar brands. I promote people. And I'm leaning towards Habano to dark tonight, just because I'm having some cognac. But this is a different cognac. It's called Hardy Cognac, and I'll be honest with you guys. It's the strangest cognac bottle I've seen, but I just sip it. I'm not a drunk. I just sip it. It's almost down to the bottom, right?
Well, thank you for letting us know you're not a drunk. You just sip it.
Yeah.
You
can stop anytime.
In case my kids are watching, but
I can stop at any time. Just ask me.
But yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm excited. I had a shitty ass week, so I was looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, this is gonna be great. Yeah, it's been a long week.
Brother, your background, I got to tell you.
Do you like that? It's the faux wood. I feel like I'm Kramer. I want to give that look like I'm in a ski resort.
It looks fantastic. No, I feel like some Amish neighbors moved in and they just decked out your studio.
They did.
I dig it too, man. It's actually pretty cool.
Listen here, Dr. Caffey. No reason to make fun of us down here. Same-ish.
It's beautiful.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I appreciate the compliment, and the left-handed, very hard-working Amish people appreciate the compliment, too.
So what are you drinking and what are you smoking, Kerr?
I'm smoking thank you for asking, Gabby, why I'm smoking the Sweetgrass Gringo this evening.
Nice.
And then, I feel like this is going to be a long one, I'm going to smoke the OG. The OG. The Liga Exclusiva de El Viajante 35.
Is that the cease and desist?
This is the LV the Edition 35 aka the cease and desist, which I think I'm gonna probably name the next cigar cease and desist.
That would be a great brand name.
Yes,
it would be a great name.
I partnered that with my Yingling Lager, since I'm gonna stick to the Pennsylvania Amish thing going on. And I even have a wee little bit of in honor of Armin and the great work that you did.
Oh, nice.
A little bit. And I'm smoking
Thank
that
you.
out of my Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust cup. Look at this little thing here.
Beautiful, man.
So that's what I'm drinking.
Amazing.
So I'm going to pass it over to Gabby, and he is going to introduce our guest
Go,
for
Gabby.
the evening.
You know, guys, I'm going to keep this introduction short, powerful, and I'm a guy that I'm a student of our industry, right? And I look at what's been done in the past, who did it, and what impact did they have on our industry, right? I've only been in the industry 7 years. I never, will come out and say, oh, I've been 30, 40 years in the industry. But tonight's guest has been in the industry for decades. And what's powerful about him and what's beautiful about him is that, everybody tries to categorize you into a certain category. Oh, so and so does this, she does that. That's his style. And what's beautiful about our guest tonight, Lars Tetens, is that you'll go crazy trying to put him into a category. And I think that's the powerful thing, is that he's been able to navigate the premium cigar industry in a way that is disruptive and at the same time a huge contributor to innovation and creativity. So that'll be my intro, short and sweet. Lars, it's a pleasure to have you on the show tonight. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that intro, and it's an honor to be with you guys. And I'm drinking cucumber water, smoking a Series D.
Very nice.
What are you smoking, Lars?
A Lars Tetens Series D.
Nice, nice. So, where do we start, Carrie?
Where do we start?
There we go.
I like to start in the beginning.
In the beginning.
Well, I'd like to start off really is first and foremost. I was telling Lars this when we first talked. We had a conversation about 23 years ago, 25 years ago. I started smoking cigars, and I used to work at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We used to go to a small cigar shop in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm still sticking to the Amish theme, and we used to go in, and my buddy would always buy like an Ashton or whatever, and there's Punch, and I remember seeing a box on the shelf that just stood out amongst any other boxes.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. So I walked over and I picked it up and I was like, what's this? This guy's like, oh man, those are crazy. Those are great. They have different flavors. You ought to try that. And it was a Lars Teten. And that was 23 years ago.
Wow.
And I was telling Lars, I said, I remember smoking and going, this is like someone had their hands dipped in patchouli when they were rolling this thing. It had crazy spices. And I smoked, quite a few of the brands back then. And I first of all, it's an honor to be able to sit down and have a conversation and an interview with someone whose cigar I smoked 23 years ago when I first started out smoking. So I'm curious. You and I talked a little bit about this. Is how did you first start out with getting into the cigar business? You and I talked briefly about this, and I loved what you had told me. But I want you to expand on just how did you get introduced to the business?
Sure. So I guess I can go back really far back when I started really smoking cigars when I was 9.
Wow.
But
Gabby's like, that's awesome, man. Just turn on FPA. So 9, that's awesome.
yeah,
You
I
beat me
started
by
smoking
9.
and then it really, from the first cigar I smoked, I was already into I wanted to learn how to make cigars. And when I was about 13, 14, hanging out in New York City, there was a girl who was at the time a pretty famous model, and she brought me around to some cigar places and brought me around to some cigar people, and kind of introduced me to the New York cigar scene. And through another person, they introduced me to a couple little cigar factories, one on 29th Street and one on 30th Street. That the guys in there, one of the rollers it was called Five Brothers Kenya. And now it's Martinez Cigar. And I'm sure you guys know who that is. Antonio Martinez is the one who really started teaching me how to roll cigars. His son Jesus still has his cigar place.
Incredible.
But Antonio started teaching me how to roll cigars. Then Sanchez, who had the cigar little store, factory, whatever you want to call it, on 30th Street, he started teaching me how to roll cigars too, right around the same time. And I started making blends. They didn't even know my name. In the very beginning, they really did not know my name. So they used to, and I was coming in, listen, I had a modeling agency in New York, I had a casting agency in New York. I was, running my own companies, having a pretty good business going on. But I would go in there into the cigar place and clean the floors, clean the bathrooms, do whatever they told me to do so that they would teach me how to roll cigars.
Wow.
After I did cleaning for about 3 months straight and cleaning all the bathrooms and everything, finally, Antonio Martinez, he started teaching me how to roll cigars. They saw that I was really serious.
Yeah.
After 3 months, yeah.
Stuff like alcohol and food and whatever, just so that, I was hoping they'd be able to teach me. But
what year? Is this in the 80s?
Okay, so this was when I was between like 14 and 15. I started rolling when I was 15.
Okay, very cool, very cool.
But
I'm not trying to pay.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm 56 now. So
Beautiful. Congrats.
41 years ago.
Oh
Wow.
my God.
Amazing.
Yeah, 1980. Do you, and I'm sorry to bring this up, do you remember Reyes Sr. in Union City, New Jersey back in the day?
No.
Rolando? No? Okay. He was up there at that time. I thought maybe you guys have crossed paths. I'm sorry.
It could be a possibility that it happened, but I am the worst person with names. I can't remember people's names at all. So
I get that. No problem, man.
places and names I have a real hard time with.
Very cool. Very cool.
So 3 months of cleaning.
Yeah. So then they started teaching me how to roll. But the funny part is that they gave me tobacco that was shipped to them that was the wrong tobacco for their blends because they didn't want to waste it. So they would let me mess around with that tobacco.
Beautiful.
And when I started going to South America and to Africa to pick up tobacco for myself, I noticed that they would burn or use as compost the Lajero. Nobody used it. So I would just take it all for free.
Wow.
They just gave it to me. And then I shipped back to the United States. So the only thing I had to do is pay tax on it, and that's it. And I had all this Lajero for free, so I used to use that in my blends. And then tobacco that you wouldn't use. And within about a year, the blends that I was making, and it was really kind of funny too, because like in Sanchez would come over, I'd blend a bunch of cigars, I'd make roll a bunch of cigars, and he'd come over, he'd smoke one, and then he would just take the whole bunch of cigars I rolled and just throw it in the garbage. He said, "Oh, it's terrible blend."
That's damn.
Wow.
And as soon as he would walk out, the manager would come over, take all the cigars out of the garbage, then put it in the display unit. And the funny part is they didn't know. Nobody knew my name back then in the beginning. They just called me White Boy. And in the Five Brothers Kenya, they would put my cigars in like a little thing on top of their little display unit. And they would have the cigars, a little cardboard sign saying "White Boy Cigars."
That's hilarious.
So needless to say, they didn't really make it easy on you at the age of 15, no less.
No. And the funniest part about
that's some tough feedback.
They charged like maybe it was 50 cents to like maybe even less, maybe 25 cents or whatever to $1.50 for the cigars. Except that my cigars, they had it the little display thing, and it had White Boy cigars that was $10 a piece.
That's
and when
funny.
people would come in, they say, "Why is this $10?" They say, "Oh, the White Boy does it." Like I was the little monkey act, I'm the little clown. Go ahead, little clown, do your little dance.
Watch him roll.
Watch this guy. He's a white boy.
That's great. Don't give Gabby any ideas. Dad's gonna be like, okay, an arm and be like, okay, now we can throw the cigars in the garbage. That's a motivating factor.
Yeah,
but that's
so
crazy though.
It was a funny thing, and slowly I got like a little buzz going around, and there were people who owned cigar stores around the country. they would come in. At that time, I was just the ones that were sold. I didn't make any money from any, but the cigar little store factories made the money. I didn't get paid or take any money. And I was making blends. My blends ended up becoming the top selling blends in both Sanchez's and Jesus's place. But it was really funny because I didn't even know you could really make money in this business.
That's funny,
so
man.
It was years later till I was in my 20s that people started paying me for the blends I was making.
Really?
And I didn't even know you could make money. It was just like an honor to make a blend for a factory. That to me was like the best thing in the world, that somebody would even ask me to do that. So I didn't really think, about that as a business. It was just a passion. And I just enjoyed doing it. And I started rolling cigars and just putting them away. And I didn't even know what I was putting them away for. I thought maybe, this is going to be for my kids and grandkids and whatever. And then people kept buying them, and I didn't even have a band on them. They were just in a plastic bag. And we just sell them in plastic bags for like 50, and that was it.
White boy cigars in a plastic bag.
That was it, man.
And they sold.
And they sold for $10 a pop.
And they sold for a premium price.
Well.
Back then. Jesus.
And people knew immediately it was my cigar. So that was like a kind of funny thing because, first of all, I had a very rustic look to it. And in the beginning, I didn't even use molds. I just rolled it up in newspaper. And I always had a tail and a hanging foot. And so people kind of recognized that was my thing. And it started from there. And although people kind of know me for the aromatic cigars that I make, the kind of original thing I was really starting with was using Ligero before anybody was using it.
I believe it.
And making stronger blends than nobody else was using it. I just did it because, dude, it was free.
Listen, you say that, and I haven't been in the cigar industry that long, but I've been friends of cigar factory owners going back 30 years, and I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, big dogs in the industry were calling each other up and having conversations about, we need to make strong cigars. You were the catalyst, I think, at that time.
I think everybody was really the first person who did that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And you know what's funny is the complexity that strength and Ligero brings into a cigar is mind-blowing. Today, if I light a cigar and I don't feel anything on the retro, it's put me to sleep. I don't want to deal with it. I find it boring. I enjoy the flavors in the palate, but it's that strength, that complexity, that roller coaster ride. Well controlled, balanced, that I love, man. I freaking love it. It's like
it really is. It really is. It's great. And so I mean, it was for me. It was like really. I didn't think about it like work because I had other businesses. It was to me. It was just like that was what I loved doing. It was my passion, and I just followed that, and it slowly became a business.
How long was it after you were known as White Boy to where you were comfortable enough, knowledgeable enough, experienced enough to take it to the next level? Because like you said, at that point now I imagine, okay, now I can roll a cigar, and then all the creative juices started flowing. So when were all those ideas coming in, and then all of a sudden, like you said, aromatic cigars and things of that nature?
Well, I started really conditioning cigars within the first 2 months of rolling them and making blends. So, and I tried all different kinds of techniques, but I really started my whole business within about 3 months. I was already selling cigars, and we were selling a lot of my cigars. So I would come in and after working my other business, which was like in the modeling business and the fashion business. So I had a modeling agency, a casting company for motion pictures, Broadway commercials. I had a management company. And I was only a little kid, but I owned a bunch of businesses.
Beautiful.
Then I ended up, that was in New York City. Then I ended up owning a piece of a modeling agency in Paris, and then another modeling agency in Milan. But
are we supposed to feel sorry for him here, or are we?
I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence right now.
Yeah, I don't feel
Salute,
bad about
man.
that. I don't
That's
feel bad
tremendous.
about that whole 3 months of cleaning up the
Yeah.
bathrooms and stuff.
Hey, listen,
I'll go there. I'll do it now.
I was gonna say.
I'm happy they taught me at all. I'm happy they would teach me.
Yeah.
To me, it was like an honor. The whole thing was like an honor. So
If I drink a lot during the show, I'm sorry. I'm just.
It's the end of a long week.
Yeah, I think about my first 30 years and somebody get me a knife. That's awesome.
I'm thinking about just today.
There you go. So, Lars, did you get like? I'm sorry, Gabby. Go ahead.
No. Yours go.
I was just curious that you said you were working with Lahara, and that's amazing that the story of being able to get it for free. What did you start right off with aromatics, or when did you start getting into that?
Within about the first 2 months.
Yeah, I heard you said and then from there, was it just did you just decide that that's the direction you wanted to go in, or and how did you come up with the different aromatics for the cigars?
About more than half of my blends were non-aromatic, just blending tobacco, and then about maybe 40% was aromatic.
Interesting. That was right off the bat. You said right a couple months in.
Yeah, I just got into it. Listen, I was using that kind of stuff when I was making. I was making chocolate truffles since I was really young. I started making chocolate truffles around 5.5, 6 years old. So,
are you still making them?
Yeah, I still do chocolates. I haven't done it this year.
Do you ship to Miami?
Yeah, because of the whole COVID thing, I really haven't done it this year. But chocolate is like been one of my things, and I made other food products, so I use that same kind of things with my food products. I make sauces and spices, and so that was just kind of part of my things. It was always around with me when I made like barbecue sauces or hot sauces. So it kind of it was almost a natural progression in the cigar thing.
Wow.
I have an interesting question for you, Lars, because you're obviously all about the palate, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell me about retrohaling and your experiences with that. Do you recommend it? Do you not? Does it matter? What's your opinion?
What do I recommend? Which?
Retrohaling, like when you smoke a cigar.
Yeah. I never do it.
Okay.
I'll tell you the reason why. I mean, I've done it before, but I don't really do it because I'm really nervous about my sinuses, because it's important for my being able to taste things and smell things and the flavors. I just am always nervous that I'm going to mess up my sinuses, so I just try to.
It does make sense. I respect that, because we're, me. All I think about is cigars. You're in a different world. You're in everything when it comes to the palate, and I could see why you have to be a little more careful. I want to ask you a question.
Sure.
It's the first time I heard the term aromatic. Carrie used it tonight. You used it tonight. Where the hell have I been? Talk to me about the word aromatic instead of.
There's actually a question, Gabby, someone asked is aromatic versus infused.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Aromatic, does it mean infused? I see that question.
Yeah.
So let me just say this. I never infused cigars, but I remember when I was when Jonathan Drew was wanting to try to work with me, I ended up like saying, hey, Carlos, how are you, brother?
Carlito, we love you, man.
Yeah, I love you too, baby. I use the word infuse just to be as like a coy, because I don't infuse them, and using the word infusion would make people not know how I do it, and I can't tell my process.
I respect that very much, because there is a big
I'll scratch my next question.
A complicated thing, and there's a number of processes that go into it, so that's like.
Yeah.
I respect that a lot. We every factory has a process. Every tobacco type has a process.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you could take the same tobacco and 5 factories will make a different cigar.
Absolutely.
Even if it's the same blend, but the process is something that has to be respected. Even if it's something as simple as the freaking water they use, or the humidity, or the temperature, or it's a beautiful industry, and that's why we were able to ward off the FDA. Man, I think we won't get into regulatory affairs, but man, let's say 2 months ago, you were like the king of grandfathered brands. I bet.
Yeah, that's a true story.
That's why you wear the big cowboy
Yeah,
hat.
41 years.
That's why I'm going bald.
No, I'm already bald.
See, Gabby?
Well, hey, Lars, do you have any brands that are available today that were the brands that you were blending and that you created 41 years ago?
Absolutely, the fat line. In fact, we're right now that I'm doing with Alec Bradley and Alan Rubin. That it was a really good way that we started out our partnership, where he handled the business part, I handled the creative part, and creating the blends that we did. But the fat line, the Lars Team's Fat Cigars, that's like the cigar that I originally started with. The Royal that we're still selling right now, that was the first cigar I really blended that I'm still selling today. And that's back like in 1980. So 1979, 1980. I think it was 1979, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
There was something that really, really intrigued me. The process of cigar making, the ancient process.
Yes. Yeah, I can tell
I'm
you a little bit
dying
about
to
that
get
too.
into the meat and potatoes of that, because I know that you really took the time. I mean, look, if somebody was really superficial about the whole thing, they would not have delved into what you did, was really trace this back to its origins. I know you were very, very focused on that and passionate about that. I don't expect you to divulge certain things, but I would love to hear what led
I'd
you
love to
down
tell
that
you.
path, and I'd love to hear whatever you want to tell us.
So in Venezuela, where I actually had factory in Venezuela for a long time in Cumaná,
Mm-hmm.
but in Venezuela, you can trace the history back for cigar making over 6,000 years ago. And they have stone molds. You know how they used to say, oh, it was just clumps of rolled leaves? Totally not
Right.
true. They had beautiful, perfect cylinder-shaped cigars back over 6,000 years ago. And there are molds, polished stone molds for cigars that now is almost like our plastic molds now.
Yeah.
But they had the polished stone molds back then that was going over 6,000 years ago that they would make the cigars in. So this has been around a long time. This is not the beginning of the industry. And the Europeans didn't really start this out. This was done with indigenous tribes in South America. And that was really where the start came from. And there was conditioning processes back then to make aromatic cigars that go back in that time in Venezuela.
Right.
So, I researched and really kind of went and figured out how to do it that way. And then also put my own spin on it from the aromatics that I used all the time in my hot sauces, my barbecue sauces, my chocolate truffles, my pastries, all that kind of stuff that I used aromatic stuff in. So it just became part of the process.
That's what intrigues me the most, because you research how they did things. I'm not just in cigars in general. You research things that go back thousands of years, as you said,
Yes.
but not necessarily applicable today. But did you find that there were certain things, certain not even ingredients or techniques that were lost along the way that would be good to implement now and would affect how the cigar is made today? Just enhance it, or just give it just that little edge that people aren't doing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, part of that is creating that aromatic edge to it. But I think that I think we'd be surprised on how, and I love that question. I think we'd be surprised on how this. Well, there was a lot of the same stuff going on back 6,000 years ago as now, and we don't really know because there isn't a lot of written records. And unfortunately, the disease that the Europeans brought into South America, killed off like 90% of the people, the indigenous people that lived there. And I don't think we're going to find out half or maybe even more than half of the things that they were doing 6,000 years ago because they're dead now. There's whole civilizations lost in South America that we don't know anything about. We don't really have records of.
Damn,
because before the soldiers came and massacred people, people died of bacterial and viral infections, and our bacterial killed off the people. Their immune system was and didn't have anything to fight it off. So people died before they even saw the Europeans. They were just it was.
God, you really speak so much truth. I'm from Honduras. I was born there, but our family's been there since 1901. Yeah, but it's 119 years, right, in one country. But everything you're saying is 100% true. When we look at how the Spanish colonized Honduras and all of Central America, and how the geography and the entire population drastically changed.
Thank you, Carlos. You're
beautiful statement
right about that. I love that. Thank you.
Bingo.
Very much.
Word.
So Lars, Tommy's been insistent. He wants to know, how would you define or how would you differentiate aromatic from infused? Because he said again, what is aromatic in cigars? Because I think earlier someone said that when they hear aromatic, they think of pipe tobacco, or as Andre says, would you say tobacco aged in rum whiskey barrels is aromatic? So what is that term? As Gabby said earlier, it's a term that's been that's kind of newer, because we're so used to hearing infused. Hey, here's this new infused cigar. So what is that difference?
Well, what I do is it's much more complicated than what most people do using infusion or flavors, and I use nothing that's chemical, nothing that's artificial. It's all organic, and it's all like the highest quality. And if you ever ask Ralph or Alan Rubin, they'll tell you they did not expect that what I do was going to happen.
So,
so you'd say aromatic is more natural versus infusion, which is a little bit more chemical. I'm not trying to pin you down for an answer, but
I think a lot of that is true.
Okay,
that's cool, Carlos. You're adding some great stuff in here. I love it.
Big time. Wow.
The Vatican does have records. Yeah, they came to me years ago to learn if I hold any oral lessons from my Cuban grandparents.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
You're welcome, Tommy.
There it is.
Tommy was insistent on learning the difference between aromatic. I'm asking this question again, insistently.
I will say this.
Listen, I just use the word aromatic. It could be anything. I also use the word conditioned all the time too. So
But that's a differentiating statement, though, because I think everybody's in the cigar industry is so used to hearing infused.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, I will say this, all right, as a guy that runs a factory. A lot of the infusion process is directly spraying the tobacco with something.
Yeah.
And there's other ways to do it instead of just spraying. That's like a shortcut. That's like to me that's like cheating,
Yes.
You could take a shoe and spray it, and it'll be amazing, all right?
Yes.
So
It's like deep fry. You could deep fry anything.
Okay.
I'll take that further.
You remember those little commercials with the spray on hair?
Yeah.
I just prefer no spray on hair for me.
Oh, Gabby's about to be a redhead in 30 seconds.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Ooh,
Hey,
what is this? Oh,
Kevin Shahan said, "What is the single biggest change that Lars has noticed about cigars or cigar smokers in 2020 versus when you started?"
good question.
I think people are much more interested in the history and about the culture now. Like when I first started rolling cigars, we're talking 79 and 80 when people were all into macrobiotics and aerobics, and anyone who smoked a cigar was the devil.
Wow.
I mean, they looked at you like, oh, you're automatically an evil person if you smoke cigars. I mean, really, that's what they did.
Wow.
People knew me for being very health conscious. Since I was a little kid, I always was eating super healthy food and vitamins and amino acids and herbs and all that kind of stuff. But as soon as they saw me smoke cigars, like I remember in 79, 80, 81, 82, people were doing mounds of cocaine and shooting up heroin and then eating macrobiotic.
Well, you gotta be healthy. You gotta be healthy when you're doing coke.
Exactly.
So
It reminds me of the vegan who's like eating the vegan plate but throwing down a couple of gin and tonics.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, I always thought cigars were super healthy for you because you got to relax. And when you relax, your immune system builds up. You had this whole kind of culture of
What's
getting
Gabby doing?
Gabby's chopping up a line. Look at him. He's
I thought we were on a break. Sorry.
Back in 30 seconds.
Gabby at our age. You're chopping up a line of Tylenol.
Oh, shit. I was not expecting this tonight. This is fabulous. I tip my hat off to you, Lars.
But it's true. You remember, you do. I mean, back there in the 70s and 80s, that was the big cocaine era.
Oh, yeah. And I never did drugs. I never even drank back then. Even when I was a young kid, I never drank. And because of the business, the fashion business, I had to go into clubs all the time and entertainment stuff, the party scene. Sure. I never did drugs. I never drank. I stay really health conscious. But still, if you smoked a cigar, people looked at you like you were like some kind of evil person. I also remember this funny. I don't know if you guys were at all going to New York City back in the day, but there was this great French restaurant that I used to go to all the time, L'Oreal, between 60 on Madison Avenue between 63rd and 64th. I was a regular there. I was like my main hangout. And it was so funny because I smoked cigars in there all the time. And
fucking Ian.
And it was hilarious. Don't tip the hat. It affects the.
That's me.
Oh, that was great. And so it was really funny. One day, this tourist couple came in, like, they're probably a wealthy couple from Oklahoma or something. I love Oklahoma, so I'm not going to say that's bad, but they were coming into New York City, like, come in there, go to the expensive French restaurant. And so they said, the woman said to the waiter, can you please sit me in the non-smoking section? And then they sat them right down next to me while I'm smoking a cigar. And she's like, and he's like, excuse me, can you sit me in the non-smoking section? And he goes, yes, you're in the non-smoking section.
You are, yeah.
But he's smoking a cigar right here. He's in the smoking section.
I had that issue growing up.
I remember those
in New
days.
York.
When I was growing up in New York, you could smoke cigars everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Cigars and cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was even in Starbucks. I remember when Starbucks was starting to really become big in the 90s and the early 2000s. You could still smoke cigars in Starbucks, which I thought was pretty interesting.
When I first moved down to South Carolina 8 years ago, I mean, it was. I think even today, there's still restaurants that have a smoking and non-smoking.
That's
Most of the Waffle Houses had the smoking and non-smoking,
Wow.
and it was separated by a sign. You know, it wasn't even like a section.
100%.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that as a kid. Me also growing up in New York. We were out with the family. My mom lit her cigarette, and this family was giving her dirty look. Says, "Excuse me, can you please put that out?" And she says, "Why? I'm in the smoking section." And, the guy was right here.
God. Even back then, I mean, it was normal. It was normal.
1000%.
Thank you, brother. I love you for that.
It was 100% normal.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing because it was even in airplanes. I mean, I'm sure you guys remember. You would be. How can you have a smoking section in an airplane? You're in a can. The whole thing. It didn't have the ventilation systems like now, anyways. The smoke was throughout the whole thing. And people had the cigarette smoking area. Everybody, it was crazy.
The armrest had little ashtrays.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the planes still have those.
Yeah. I saw somebody post a picture. Remember the cars in the back seat? They had the little ashtray that would pop out in the back seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember driving it. It's like, the window's cracked. All is good. The window's cracked in the car. Oh, thanks, Mom.
Oh yeah, the folks would empty it out, and it's
wow.
I think the first 15 years.
They never smoked. So it was funny when I went with other kids, like in their car, and the parents would have the window. It was the wintertime, all the windows up, and they're smoking cigarettes like it's going outside. There's no way we're all smoking cigarettes in that.
Oh yeah, yeah. First 10 years of my life, I think I secondhand smoke a pack a day.
I was the only third grader with smoker's cough in elementary school. Like, what's wrong with this kid? I'm like, what do you mean? They're picking on me again, Ma.
Carrie, you're supposed to wear a white shirt. This is white. Leave me alone.
Oh my God!
So Lars, I got to ask you, in the cigar industry now in 2020, someone asked you the difference between then and now. I always think of, hey, there's my dad. What's up, Pawpaw? The Big Tony. He said he had a 1950s Nash and ashtrays and lighters all over the place. What is, when you look at pricing, like what is it with your cigars? What is a cigar that you think is right in the wheelhouse of the average smoker, and what's your most expensive cigar and why?
Well, I was able to get my hands on some really rare tobacco. And this was a long time ago. I'm not going to go into how I got it, but I did get it. And very, very old tobacco. And from those cigars that I made, they were like $3,600 per cigar.
Whew.
So I remember back in the day, David Letterman bought 10 boxes of 10 cigars apiece of the 3,600. $360,000 worth in cigars for a Super Bowl game party at his house.
Wow.
Damn.
Do you still have them available?
Probably. I'm probably not going to sell them anymore.
Is that is that the box on its way here to South Carolina?
I do have
we'll do a review on the cigars if you
I'm just saying, Lars.
I got to get addresses for everybody there, and I'll send everyone a package. I did send Kerr some cigars, and I think I sent one of these to you, and this is a vintage one. This is a Series D, like an old school one.
Oh, wow. Can't wait to get it. Appreciate it.
And that's about...
Look at that.
Yeah, that's about 20-something years old.
Wow. Fantastic.
Wow, man.
I can't.
I'd probably use those 10 boxes and barter them for a condo in Miami.
Yeah. Yes.
That's great. I was gonna say that's be like, hey, listen, just saying, this is what I got. That is fantastic.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm speechless.
And then we sold for like the body shops. Michael Jordan smoked a lot of those, and those were like, I think they're right now about $110 a stick. And then we have the SCPs, Those are about $180 a stick. So we still have some of the higher end ones that were regularly being sold. So
Wow.
I love it.
Andre did say that he is willing to review that cigar, but he can't promise any scores.
I'm sure.
That is fantastic.
So these days, brother, I mean, when I go online and all somebody has to do is Google your name and a million things pop up. How do you get to everything and what are you
Great
focused
question,
on
yeah.
these days? I'm just dying
because it's more than cigars, right?
I still have my
chocolates,
batteries.
handbags.
I still have spices and sauces. And
Yes.
I'm really into the CBD market. I have smokable CBD haze.
Damn.
I like the name. Does that say New York Hugs
New York
or
Nugs.
Nugs? New York Nugs.
And then I got,
I'll give you New York hug. It's okay.
And that's
Oh wow.
My girlfriend took that picture.
Huh.
I'm wondering if she was in the picture when she took it.
Yeah, that's her in the picture. Good times. Hey, Angelique, can you grab me the hot sauce and a salt? There's a hot sauce right over there.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Wow, yeah. So
now we're talking.
Let me ask you. So Lars, obviously, and we talked earlier that obviously this is going to steer from cigars because you are involved in so many different areas. Where's your passion like?
Tropical haze heat. Ooh,
that is nice. Where's your passion? You talk about spices, you're talking about hot sauces, you're talking about cigars, you're talking about. I know you do music, you do everything. Where do you right now feel like your passion is? What do you really enjoy the most?
Well, I have a music company, a consulting business, and I have some amazing young artists that I'm working with now. This great singer named Alessandra, which I've done a couple live Facebook videos with, and I have a video on YouTube.
Were you on with him?
What now?
I think I heard him last night on a Facebook Live a little bit.
Well, I think the two girls. No, that's Angelique, who's right over here, and
Cool.
another girl.
Oh, right on.
And neither one of them are the singers of the company, but they got a lot of views and a lot of comments. They actually sang pretty good. It was really funny. What was the song you guys did? Oh yeah, "Stand by Me."
Stand by Me.
One was singing it in Spanish.
Spanish,
the other
yeah.
was singing English at the same time. It was pretty cool. Let's see.
Wow, look at Senor Fuente.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, look at that. Of course, smoking cigars on the flight. I love it.
Oh yeah,
That's a
absolutely,
step up.
Carlos. Absolutely. And then I'm working with this two guys that are rappers, singers that are amazing. This one kid, he's going to be amazing. And then I'm working with this girl named Justice Bratt. She's an amazing rapper, and just very powerful, very powerful. In fact, her grandfather was Wolfman Jack.
Really?
No kidding.
Yeah.
No shit.
I remember that voice, Wolfman.
Yeah,
Jack,
exactly.
back in the day doing this thing.
That was the
Wow.
what was that? American Graffiti.
Yeah, if you go to Lars Tetens Presents group, there's a group called Lars Tetens Present. I just started a few days ago. There's like some little clips of some of these artists that I'm working with. I think you're going to really like it. After the COVID kind of dies out, we can start doing a bunch more live shows. You're going to see these guys out. I've got some really good young talent that I'm working with that I really enjoy.
Lars, that's very good to hear because I have to tell you, I mean, obviously smoking is one of my absolute biggest passions and music is the other one. And not being able to go to a live show, it doesn't have to be a big concert. Like, you know it, you lived in New York. You go to a small venue, you go to the Village, you go to a tiny place, man, and you just kick back and you don't even know what to expect. You go with no expectations and then these artists get up there and you're just blown away, even if it's a blues or jazz or whatever.
Kevin says, Lars, do you have your guitar handy?
By the way, I've had people text me. They want to hear something tonight.
Okay, no
I
problem.
shit you not. People have been
Yes!
texting me. They said, "Do me a favor, Gabby. Please ask Lars if he's willing to play something on the show."
I got my guitar. I can join in.
Cool.
Yeah, but Lars can play it.
Oh wait,
Give me one
I just
second.
thought
I'm going to be right back. Give me 1 second.
I was just gonna hold it. It was really funny.
Watch, I know Kerry's gonna grab his
Armin.
guitar and be like Stevie Ray Vaughan on it.
I swear to God, we used to do this Dougie Road show. When Alan or my buddy Daryl Iverson would be with me, I'd start playing the guitar. It would irritate the shit out of him. It was hilarious.
Gibson?
Okay, so here's a little. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do a.
That's just it's nasty, man.
All right, well, now we'll do a little song. Huh?
Wow, that was tight. That was nasty.
That's a
Good-
nice
good
dirty
intro.
sound.
Okay.
I can feel that.
You tell by the way I spit, I'm a little harder.
I can't hear him
I'm
sing.
so hard, it flows with barbed wire. Rule of the street empire, one chance to step and then you retire. Got the itching key to catch your body on fire. 1, 2 holes, there's some fluid like a lighter. Dudes wanna step, gonna catch a flyer. Stupid, wake up, find yourself in hellfire. I don't give a fuck no more. Banging at your door with the big 44. Come on, money, let's get it on street walls. Cutting at your dudes, you my gun like a sword. I don't give a fuck no more. Banging at your door with the big 44. Come on, money, let's get it on street walls. Cutting at your dudes, you my gun like a sword. Pop that beat, not me. Stomp out a G, not me. Hook up some brains, not me. Ain't no pain, not me. Yeah, you that dude always start to trip. You that dude always pound the first clip. You that dude steal the paper from the paste. I flip that K 10 times before I take a taste. I don't give a fuck no more. Banging at your door with the big 44. Come on, money, let's get it on street walls. Cutting at your dudes, you my gun like a sword. I don't give a fuck no more. Banging at your door with the big 44. Come on, money, let's get it on street walls. Cutting at your dudes, you my gun like a sword. Black ski mask, pair black tints. I'm a home invader, so I rock black rims. 3 in the morning, wake up the taste of my steel. So much blood, I had to use a black pill. Yeah, put the float to turn the flies away. Take out the extra bag to put the loot away. If you think you're gonna get my paper on the low, I turn your air like a $2 hoe. Yeah, I don't give a fuck no more. Banging at your door with a big 44. Come on, money, let's get it on street walls. Cutting at your dudes, you my gun like a sword. I don't give a fuck no more. Banging at your door with a big 44. Come on, money, let's get it on street walls. Cutting at your dudes, you my gun like a sword. Use 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 my gun like a sword.
Very nice.
Tight, man.
Well, there it is, brothers.
Andre's like, is there something this guy doesn't do? Seriously. Lars, can I ask you? I was trying to look at the body of the guitar. Is it a Gibson?
sure.
What is it?
It's a Epiphone, like a Les Paul kind of Epiphone thing.
Yep. I like the sound. Yeah, it's got a nice dirty sound to it, man.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, just
We'll dedicate that to the passing of one of my absolute heroes,
Eddie Van
guitar
Halen.
god Eddie Van Halen, and his
Oh my
passing.
God, what an amazing guitar player!
The first time I heard Eruption,
Oh God,
unbelievable.
fuck. Kevin Shahan says that you need to write a follow-up to Dippin' and Smashin' and call it Smokin' and Ashin'.
Oh,
Good.
that is
First
sweet.
we gonna dip, then we gonna smash. First we gonna dip.
First we're gonna smoke, then we're gonna ash.
Let me tell you, man, I could say this now without any hesitation. The guy from the commercial, the Dos Equis guy, doesn't have shit on you, Lars.
Most interesting man.
That's awesome,
I'm
Armin.
telling you, boy. Yeah.
Gabby was expecting to bust out some old school rap.
Oh man, I gotta stop.
I do rap, but that's kind of almost like in the modern day kind of time. So I call this trap country or country trap. So the modern kind of rap style is like trap music. So it's kind of like singing and rapping at the same time.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
That's
Would
kinda
you
like
say
what I
kind of
did.
like a Kid Rock thing?
Yeah. Well, not Kid Rock really so much because that's like a different kind of style, but
Right.
it's a little different. But yeah, I can do old school rap. I mean, the originally the way that one was done was a little bit different. Originally, like 20 years ago, when I wrote that song, I did it like well, you could tell by the way I spit, I'm a little harder. I'm so hard, I floss with barbed wire. Ruler of the street empire. One chance to step up and then you retire. Got the educated, catch your body on fire. 1, 2 hoes, this fluid like a lighter. Dudes on the step, gonna catch a flyer. Stupid, wake up, find yourself in hellfire. I don't give a fuck no more. Banging on your dock with the big 45. Come on, money, let's get it on street walls. Cutting at your dudes in my gun like a saw. Like that.
So you've been, I mean, when you've seen that evolution of just, rap from the 70s to, the 80s and into the 90s, I'm sure that's got to be a huge influence.
Oh man, it really is. And
especially being up in
now-
New York.
Yeah.
That
now
was
I'm
like the
kind of
epicenter.
I'm kind of like bringing it all together into like a new sound. And if you hear like some of my new live shows, the shows that I'm doing now, the beats that I'm using are trap and reggaeton beats. So
Nice.
I love
it's
it.
like pretty cool, and I've got a lot of reggaeton Latin influence on a lot of the beats that are
You know what
using in the background.
You guys have to listen to this for a second. We had Art Garcia on the show maybe a couple months back. He's a guy from Mexico making cigars in Nicaragua, and
Another music guy.
he used to be a heavy music guy, and he used to rap in Spanish. And let me tell you guys, this whole East Coast West Coast thing, you guys really need to meet up, because he was producing music. He's got his stuff on. I think he's selling it on iTunes. It's out there, but he's doing is very interesting, in the same line with what you're doing, because it's just like it's stuff that's interesting. It's original. Art Garcia, you guys need to have a conversation.
Gabby, we've had shows now where we've had rap on the West Coast,
Yeah,
the
I
Spanish
know.
rap, and we've had Lars here on the East Coast doing some. It was very country rappy,
Yeah, country trap.
country trap. That's a
I don't
trap.
care, man. East, west, north, south. I love
No,
the
man, I'm
old
just-
school, because especially growing up
Yeah.
in Queens in the 80s. I mean, my neighborhood, I'd run into Run DMC, LL Cool J, and then what was it? Mid 80s, you had Beastie Boys coming up. I mean, it was just
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have an actual CD that I released back in the 90s. It was all Spanish. I did the whole thing in Spanish.
no kidding.
Yeah. And I still have a number of tracks I do in half Spanish, half English.
Really?
So between 1980 and 2020, have you slept at all?
Not much.
I,
Okay, so that's pretty kind of an interesting thing. I like that you brought that up because, I didn't really understand how much you really do need to sleep, because it does mess up stuff to your body and your brain if you don't sleep enough.
Sure.
And back when I was a young kid, I must have permanent brain damage because I slept about an hour a day, and that was about it. And I went for months sometimes where I really didn't get more than an hour a day of sleep. And because I got into REM state so quickly, I thought, okay, that's the most healing part. But there's actually stages before REM state that you really need to go through to be able to keep your body healthy. Now I don't let myself, except for occasionally. Like last night I didn't sleep a lot, but most of the time I sleep about 6 to 7 hours now. But that's only been going on for the past year and a half. Let's say we usually.
Yeah, Andre said we usually compare cigars with wine, comparing cigars with music instead. I got to tell you, I mean, I think we talk about pairing cigars with different drinks, coffee, wines, beer, liquor, and I got to tell you, there's nothing more. Cigars are kind of like that. You can listen to different music, depends on the mood you're in, and still smoke a cigar. So you can still pair a cigar with the music.
Absolutely.
If you're down and you're just hanging out listening to the blues, a cigar could just be so sultry, like the blues, and just be very healing. And if you are just in a crazy rowdy mood and you want to throw on some heavy metal and smoke a cigar, you'll smoke it a hell of a lot faster. But it's definitely
and jazz,
jazz. Yeah, I mean it's amazing.
I'm all
listening
over
to jazz and smoking a cigar, drinking a little bit of whiskey or bourbon, some Bookers.
I love smoking a cigar and listening to some blues. That really to me is just so relaxing, and it doesn't matter what you're drinking at that point in time because the music and the cigar grabs you. What's that, tequila? No, at that point in time, it gets a little rowdy. I avoid tequila at all costs.
I love tequila. It's so good. I don't really drink that much. So if I drink an ounce, I'll drink an ounce over 4 or 5 hours. So I don't get drunk or anything, but I love the taste.
I'm like that with scotch. I love the taste of scotch. I can drink it all night, just so smooth. But tequila is just, for some reason, it always associates with just...
Do you guys know Joe Bonamassa?
Yeah, of course. Love
Smoking
listening to Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah, Smoking Joe and I have been really close friends for a long time. Hey, Ashley, can you go in the back over there? There's a Fender guitar. It's blue. It has a bunch of crap on it, but it's a blue guitar. Can you nab that for me? Thank you.
Oh, God. I'm going to go.
You just got Armin's attention.
Yeah, he did.
You got Armin's attention.
Actually, I was just listening to some Joe Bonamassa because in my car with satellite, I have all the blues and the jazz stations, the rock, all that. I'm very eclectic when it comes to music.
We used to jam a lot.
He's on another level.
And we used to play golf a lot together.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I swear, if I could go back in time, the one guy that I truly would have loved to have seen live was Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was actually amazing. My ex-wife and him used to do grappling together, and this martial arts. We were all in the same Chinese martial arts school in Lower Manhattan in the Tribeca area.
Which one?
Ying Yi with Sifu Kenny Gang. You know him?
So Lars, you and I don't know each other, but I have a martial arts background. I've been obsessed with the arts since I was a kid, and I actually know the school because some of my friends actually did go to that school, and some smaller ones like the internal arts like Xing Yi and Bagua and I got into JKD. That was my thing, with Wing Chun and things of that nature. So wow, man, just to go to that school is an honor.
Yeah, I teach Qigong or Qigong, what people pronounce it
Qigong.
But in Shanghai they pronounce
it
Qigong. But yeah, I teach that. I teach all sorts of different kind of martial arts and grappling, and I've been training military people and other people that have come in for a long time.
So check this out. I got to say this before you show me the guitar.
Okay, go for it.
I hope COVID is over soon because my friend's school, New Breed, every year he still brings Danilo Santo out for seminars. I still take it. And once in a while, he'll even bring Francis Fong from Georgia to do some explosive Wing Chun. But Guru Dan at 84 is still doing his thing. And a lot of guys from different schools and states come. I tell you, when they do those seminars again, I have to notify you, come out for it.
I would love to. I'd love to.
It's in Queens, in Whitestone.
So back in the day, you guys, I'm sure you remember Kingsway Boxing Club, Times Square Boxing Club.
Times Square, yeah.
Yep. So Sidney Martin, who was like really, I mean, if you look him up, he was one of the greatest. Back in the day, he was I think a light something. Well, in the lightweight division, he was a world champion, but he became like the top trainer in the world. He trained Sugar Ray Robinson. He trained Muhammad Ali. He trained a ton of like major boxers, and I was his only disciple. My ex-wife also trained under him, and she actually trained Emil Griffith how to train boxers. Because although he was a great boxer, he didn't really know how to train boxers, and my ex-wife actually trained him to train boxers. My ex-wife was also a boxing trainer at Times Square Boxing Club.
Wow.
What do we have here?
This is the Joe Bonamassa gave me this guitar. It was made for him. It was a custom Fender made for him, and he gave that to me as a gift a long time ago.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
Do you play it once in a while?
I played all the time, yeah.
I bet
your Armin would love you to plug it in and play it right now.
Yeah, well, this,
and I think Kerry and Gabby would also like it.
Wow, I love music. I took lessons back when I was in 7th grade, guitar lessons. But where I grew up, I used to take lessons from a guy named Fraunheiser. So I used to walk up 3 flights of stairs and play guitar with this guy who I still think was probably someone who left Germany in the 40s, and he used to whack my hands with a pointer stick if I got it wrong.
Dude, I tell people this, like when I first started taking lessons, they don't even understand. The young kids today don't understand. That's how music teachers work.
Yeah, he used to go,
my guitar teacher in New York City, he had a metal ruler, and he would just hit me on my back if I went
he used to do it.
Meter, or if my vibrato was slightly off meter, he would just hammer me. I'd come out of the classes with my t-shirts ripped and blood on my back.
He used to go, listen,
I had that experience playing piano. In fact, I had to fire
he played a piano. He played a piano along with my guitar.
Was my mother.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? That's the way you were trained in music back in the day.
I used to carry my guitar
like
3 stories up.
Your teacher would throw you off the chair and kick
you. Yeah. He used to go, listen, and what was funny is we always circle back to guitar to cigars. He had a cigar in his mouth, and he'd go, okay, did you do your lessons? We're going to see Tom Dooley, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and he'd play Tom Dooley on a piano, and I'd go along with my guitar, and if I got it wrong, he'd freaking stop and grab a stick and whack my hands, and I was like, I'm paying $10 a lesson for this shit.
Yeah, you are.
Fraunheiser.
If you 3 gentlemen have not seen the movie Whiplash,
oh my God, that's real shit, man. That's real shit.
Yeah,
please watch it.
I
lived through that. I lived through that stuff, man. Music
I used to tell my dad,
we're not like nowadays.
I told my dad, I was like, yeah, Dad, I went to lessons, and I after like freaking a couple of months, I was like, man, the guy's freaking whacking my hands. I'm not going to do this shit anymore. And then I just kind of, I was like, okay, I'm done with lessons, Dad. I mean, I know the chords, Mr. Fraunheiser, I can play, She's Coming Around the Mountain and Tom Dooley. I'm good. And I just kind of, got with my buddies and taught myself and learned just by listening to music. And then, of course, nowadays, Jesus, if you want to learn how to play guitar, you got to hop on YouTube and you can learn anything.
Do you guys comprehend that on top of everything we knew, what we learned today by listening to Lars, now on top of that, you have to add martial artist.
I know, right?
You realize that. That portion alone takes Serious dedication.
Yeah. I started out, I was with CBS Records. I was with CBS Records when I was a young kid, and I had some pretty good success with that. But, you know, I quit the whole music scene and everything just so that I could be a live-in student under my Japanese master, Shingyo Hashimoto. Wow. And his father was the last Royal Samurai Master of Japan. And he ended up like adopting me when I was just a young kid. And then he made me one of his disciples. Wow. Yes, you're right.
How do we circle back to cigars after that, right?
I know. How do you transition? We went. Yeah,
Gabby, come on, Gabby, you're good at this shit. Bring us back.
Yeah, help, man.
And then my other cigar I'm good at this my shit fat line, the Sun Fuka, that was named after my Chinese master, Sun Fuka, who was like, he was amazing Qigong master. And I started training with him when I was just a young kid. So, I mean, I've been literally
not an art you can pick up anywhere. You know, it's not like you go to a Taekwondo school or a cardio kickboxing or a Tiger Showman. I mean, just to be able to find a place to actually have a reputable teacher to teach that art alone is just wow.
Well Sifu Kenigang was the only school I ever went to where they had
Sorry, Gabby.
No, yeah, Sifu Kenigang was the only one I ever went to that had a belt system. Nobody else had belt systems. And I don't know if you ever heard of the master down in Hell's Kitchen, Sifu Tai Lung.
Yeah, no, I haven't, but yes.
Sifu Tai Lung was the amazing Chinese master who was like, he was brilliant. He lived in Hell's Kitchen. He was a younger dude too, but that training was amazing too. I trained in his school for a pretty good amount of time.
So most people didn't even know that in Whitestone there's an actual. I mean, here you are. You would think in Queens, New York, and then you look up, like built from like it looked centuries ago. There's a Shaolin temple.
Yeah,
an actual Shaolin temple in Queens, New York, and let me tell you, the demonstrations that they put on every year, it'll blow your mind. So how do we bring that back to cigars?
Good, Gabby.
I'm gonna connect the dots. All right.
It's all about discipline.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna connect the dots. Let me tell you guys something. We live in the pussy generation, right? Honey, my
right out of the gate.
He's been drinking that whole time. All that time is
fuck that. Fuck everybody. Carlito, with all due respect, I love you, man. But we live in the. Let me actually say something. Now that it's past 9 o'clock, all adults.
Who cares?
Not only is it in the pussy generation, it's a shaved pussy generation, all right? I've never seen such a weak generation like the one we have now. And you know what we're going to do in honor of you, Lars Teton? At our factory, right, we have a lot of people that want cigars, blends, brands, and carry. I love you, brother, but you're going to be our first subject.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's kind of like
you have to shave anything.
I was gonna say you're talking about shaving and everything else. So I'm a hairy guy, Gabby. It's gonna take a while.
We'll edit that out.
Okay.
You have to get tobacco into your blood.
Yeah,
that's something Lars did. And you know what's funny is he talks about cleaning toilets and listen, bro. You don't understand. I did all that shit. When I started working with the Reyes family, you know, I came in, I had money, right? I was making my cigars, but anybody could do that. You know what I did is I went into their offices. The old man had passed away, God rest his soul. The building was run down. I started cleaning floors, mopping floors, sweeping, painting, doing toilets, hanging out with the rollers that were there, the blenders that were there. Not only in Miami, but in Honduras, man. And I got into it. And you know what? The more I got into it, the more I realized that tobacco can be seen in two ways, right? You could stand 10 feet away from it, 100 feet away from it. You can be in a different country, or you could be in it. And one of the things that we're going to do moving forward, and this is for 2021, everybody that wants to make a cigar with us has to go to the factory and literally, because I heard Carlito say the other day, talk about how his father used to sleep on tobacco bales. And I've heard stories of the greatest men that I respect so much sleeping on tobacco bales because there was nowhere else to sleep. And they lived it and they breathed it and they ate it and they shit it and they slept it and they did it. And you know what? That's what makes you great. And Lars, you here tonight made me realize that because you're living proof of it, man.
Yeah.
You're living proof of it.
Yeah, I'm not I'm not like
Gabby, I think you really hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It has to be part of your soul. It really does. And I think that I couldn't have done the things that I did without the martial arts and without the training. And my mother helped me a lot. My mom and dad were both martial artists. And my mom, and my mom and dad were political activists back in the day. Like, they were hardcore political activists. I was around. I don't know anyone here. You guys know who Dick Gregory is?
Yeah.
Dick Gregory used to stay at our house. My dad and him used to do lectures.
Really?
Together.
Wow.
He was like almost one of my relatives, like an uncle to me.
Wow.
Really? He has a great autobiography. I read his autobiography and had to do a report in college on him.
Yeah, he was an amazing man.
Yeah.
God, man, having you on the show tonight, man, just got me pumped up. And Carrie, I can't wait to get you on a plane. I can't wait. All of you, man.
I can't wait to get down there.
He didn't mention there was a one-way ticket.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we've Gabby knows this. We had 2 trips to Honduras that were canceled, and now with COVID, it kind of sucks. But I think that'll be the connector. But go ahead, Lars. Dick Gregory.
Yes.
No. It's just my parents. They were big political activists when I was just a young kid, and when they marched with Martin Luther King, with Dr. King, they were martial artists, and they could never fight back when police were hitting them or beating them, or they were getting hosed or whatever, and they would march as pacifists because they were really dedicated to civil rights in this country. And there was a newsreel that I saw when I was a very young kid of my mom being dragged by a cop on a horse by her hair while she was 6 months pregnant with me, and 6 other cops were hitting her with billy clubs.
Wow.
And she never fought back. And she didn't even try to protect herself. So, that's really spilling the blood on these streets of America for civil rights. And that's what my parents did. And it gave you a different kind of vision on the world when I was growing up. And, they sacrificed everything to, help humanity in the world. And that's a lot of dedication and putting your own body in the way of a political system.
One of the greatest stories I remember from Dick Gregory's autobiography was he said that he had his mother-in-law was living with him, and they were in a car. It was his wife and his mother-in-law. And forgive me, it's been a long time since I read his autobiography, but they were, I think, at a drive-in theater, and they were watching a movie, and it was cold out. It was icy and snowy. And he said when they were leaving, they got caught in the snow. They got stuck in the snow. And, this was back when, whites and blacks just, it was it didn't get along. And obviously, as an understatement, he said, but these 3 white kids were walking around, pushing people out of the snow and charging money for it. And he said, I didn't have any money. And he goes, I couldn't get out. And he goes, I got out of the car. I told the guys, listen, I don't have any money. I need, but I can't get out of the snow. I have my wife, my mother-in-law with me. And he said he got in a car. He said these white guys, these 3 white guys were pushing me because they pushed me out of the snow. He said as I was driving away, I looked down on my lap, and he goes, I saw one of them dropped a $5 bill in my lap.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
He's an amazing gentleman, amazing man. Yeah.
And really big into nutrition. But my mom and dad were both into nutrition heavily.
Vegetarian, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I was vegetarian for years, but now I pretty much don't eat any vegetables or fruit at all. I eat vegetables.
Dick Gregory was also
Dick Gregory was
he was a vegan.
Big time.
He was a vegan. And I was vegan for probably about 20-something years, and probably vegetarian for over 30 years. But now I primarily eat meat. I just eat like I gained a lot of weight, and my blood sugar went really high. My cholesterol levels were terrible, and I started getting diabetes. Not started, I got diabetes.
Yeah, sorry,
And
man.
so I and they wanted me to go on insulin and take all this medication, and I wouldn't take the insulin. And this was about 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago. And I just changed my diet to eating basically meat. And for the first, I ate chicharrones for like about, I don't know, 6 months and lost about 100 pounds.
Damn.
And then I just didn't eat anything, no vegetables, no fruit, just beef, a lot of raw beef. I eat raw beef regularly, and
Wow.
bacon, about 1.5 to 2 pounds of bacon a day. And I lost about 100 pounds, a little more. And then I don't take any more medication. My blood sugar levels are perfect now, normal. I have no problem with my insulin at all because of this. And then my blood pressure is fine. I don't have to take medication.
Yeah.
And my cholesterol levels are all great.
We got a doctor, Dr. Gabby Caffey. I mean, we have a doc who knows his stuff in the medical industry. And we also had on several months ago Corey Gregory, and he discussed it. I know I follow his regimen of his combination of an anabolic diet and a fasting diet, where you fast for 14 hours, but most of that time is when you're sleeping. And then the anabolic diet is high protein, no carbs, and just a little bit of fat, whether it's avocado or peanuts. And you eat 3 meals a day. And then in the evening around 9:00, you eat a banana, peanut butter, whatever, so you can carb up to get that spike when you're sleeping. So that's the whole idea, is getting into that routine where your body starts responding of burning the fat while you're fasting, and also lifting weights, because Lord knows a guy is freaking lifting weights, because the only thing that really burns fat is muscle. When you do cardio, you're burning calories, but when you lift weights, it burns fat. So it's no surprise when you eat a high protein diet versus I know a lot of vegans, they will eat vegetables, but they'll eat lots of carbs too. I mean, that really impacts your blood sugars.
I think when you're younger, I think it's important when you're younger to eat the good sugars, like from fruits and vegetables and carb stuff. But as you get older, even in your 20s, you need to start cutting that down. And by the time you're hitting your 30s and 40s, you really need to cut the carbohydrates. Right now, I'm eating about 10 to 15 carbohydrates a day.
Yeah. So age sucks. Go ahead, Gabby.
We want to go back.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead. I do want to talk about this real quick, because some people are asking, hey, they want to talk about tobacco, right? But so I studied nutrition, right? As part of our regimen is becoming doctors. And the human body is kind of amazing, because the human body is very lazy and it wants energy quick, right? So if you have a diet, which is the traditional pyramid, right, where you have your sugars, simple carbs, complex carbs, fruits and vegetables, proteins, and then you have your fats and saturated and unsaturated fats, the human body will always burn the top 80% of that triangle, and then we end up storing the fat. But if you eliminate that and you consume a low carb, low sugar diet, you'll actually be burning more fat from the get-go.
Right.
So that physiologically, it makes a lot of sense. But here's the catch. And I had somebody, Carlito, asked about, is that the Atkins diet? I said to him, yes, it was. But here's the thing, is the brain only has the ability to use sugar or fructose. Even if we take processed sugars like glucose, the body still has to break it down before it hits the brain. Like if you guys ever give blood and you get lightheaded, you notice they give you orange juice, because that's fructose. It's not processed sugar. And the thing is that you want to do the Atkins diet, but you also want to respect that the brain So it's okay to have a fruit or two during the day. You want to feed the brain instead of having the brain wait for you to process that sugar, convert it into glycogen, and then turns it into sugar for the brain. So do your diet, but always have a fruit here and there to feed the brain.
Luckily, I'm not that smart, so I don't think I'm hurting too much. It might have been the beating with the cops when I was a little kid, but I was never that smart. The funny
That's
thing
awesome,
about
Lawrence.
it is that
You're the
I
man.
was always able to do so many things because I was too stupid to know I couldn't do it. And so when I looked at things, I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I want to do that. And I would just go and do it because I thought, oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. And it was really funny because I did not have a very high IQ. And my parents said to me when I was young, I was special all the time. So I didn't know that I was special, like in the stupid way. And so I remember at one point I had said to my mom and dad, oh, yeah, I can do this because I'm special. And my mom and dad said, no, you're not special like that. You're special like you're not that smart, so you have to work a lot harder than everybody else to do it. So I just was like, okay, it didn't feel bad to me. I was like, okay, I'll just work a lot harder to do the stuff I want to do.
So nothing replaces hard work, right?
Oh, you became the hardest working man in the room. That's all I know.
I mean, it's that old saying that attitude, determines your altitude. So if you have the right attitude and hard work, nothing replaces the hard work. Nothing at all. There's nothing in persistence.
Yeah, I want to ask.
So if I had a better attitude as a kid, I wouldn't be stuck at 5'7".
If you had a better attitude now, Garmin, but I'm just saying.
I do want to ask Lars and all of you a serious question because we dabbled a little bit talking about the 50s and 60s and 70s and racial tension. And, listen, man, as a doctor, a brother who's a doctor, a brother-in-law who's a doctor, and somebody who's very spiritual, and this is not about my opinion, but it's going to transition into tobacco, which is the I think the beautiful thing. Energy, right? When I look at people, I look at energy, and our bodies, whether we're white, black, brown, whatever you want to classify us as, we're literally a ball of energy, right? And we emit energy, and that energy can come off positive, negative, neutral. Sometimes it comes off distorted. But when you're in the cigar business, right, and you look at the greats, when I say you got to have tobacco in your blood, it's got to be part of your core energy. Like when you wake up in the morning, I've woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't figure out a blend or how to process the tobacco or how to ferment it. And I had a dream about tobacco fermentation. And that's how obsessed I've gotten with tobacco. And that's how we've kind of gotten to where we're at today, which is a very... people say, oh, I've only been in the cigar business for 7 years, but I've put in 15 to 18 hours a day, which is equivalent to probably somebody else's 30 years at a normal 9-to-5 job.
Sure.
Yep. Quantity never describes quality.
Yes. What I want to ask you, Lars, is, brother, tobacco is in your blood. When you talk about our ancestors, right, the native, let's call them the Mayans, the Aztec Indians, the Inca, right, and you look at I'm very respectful of having a chief in my office that I respect, I cherish, I consult with him. People think I'm crazy, but if you don't respect your ancestors or where the tobacco came from, you'll never know where that tobacco is going. So tell me about your process when you're working with tobacco. What are you thinking about? What's the energy like? Because you've been successful at it for 40 years. And this is a show where we try to tell the young companies that are up and coming what it's all about. Dive into the energy of tobacco and how you dive into the process of even making a blend.
I really don't think too much about it. I kind of let it come to me. I'm almost kind of just clear my mind away of all the clutter and just allow that to come through me, and I just start. it's almost the same way as I do cooking. I never plan a meal.
Wonderful.
I start out, and I've been doing consulting for restaurants for a long time. I've owned restaurants before and clubs and whatever. And I never really think about a plan like that. I kind of just see what is available to me, and then I use what I have around me to create something. And I start out just clearing my mind and just starting to take the things I have available to me and start putting it together.
What you've said is exactly that. It's in your blood. It's in you.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, and look, every factory has, tobacco buyers, blenders, rollers that are different grade rollers, and they assist in the process. But creating a blend is something that you need to be a part of.
Absolutely.
You have to be there. You have to be there. I've never look. Right now, we're maturing as a company, and right now, I think I would be shortchanging everybody, including myself, if we didn't stick to that. You have to be there because it's like when you turn on the stove. You have to be the one that whips it up. Otherwise, I think you lose that you talk about passion, but if you're not present, you can't be disconnected from that passion.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think the product, people know products explode. They explode because that energy is unstoppable. You can't block the sun with one hand. And when somebody like Carlito Fuente, George Padron, Lito Gomez, and these guys, Jose Blanco, they're creating stuff. They don't even have to add. As soon as it's released, everybody's dying for it because they know what went into making it. And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and building on that, because I think you asked a great question, and Lars, you said that you don't think of that. It's got to come to you. Maybe I could dig a little bit deeper in that. With your knowledge and history of tobacco, and you had mentioned earlier 4,000 years. Someone mentioned earlier, can we bring back the stone cigar? the cigar. Do you feel like your knowledge and your history influences you tremendously to where now when Gabby asked that question, you're like, oh, I don't really think about it. Do you think it's just kind of natural because you've been such a student and you've traveled and have experienced so many different levels of understanding of where tobacco comes from and the history behind it?
I mean, who the hell flies to Africa?
I think that
tobacco?
definitely comes into play with there, but it's also it's just been, it's kind of my life. So since I was a kid, the bigger global position of like what my passion became was to be able to help people have happiness of the senses. Beautiful. So whether it was food, cigars, the leather bags I make, the clothing I make, I want it to be practical, but I also want it to feel good, to be comfortable, and to please the people of the senses. So you have some kind of pleasure in your day. This is a hard life. You got a human body. We have a hard life. And you're never going to escape the pain and trauma of having a human body and existing on this planet. Well, and this is probably the most peaceful time the planet's ever seen of human species. Yes. But it still is trauma in our life. So if I can add to someone's life just a little bit of pleasure, a little bit of peace, that's, even with the martial arts, the internal arts that I teach, that gives me peace myself. When I can help other people to have that little bit of peace or a little bit of pleasure in their life, when you have this kind of hard life we live, I think that that's really been my main goal throughout my life.
Listen, man,
that's awesome.
I'm a big fan of a purpose-driven life.
Yeah.
And when you take your energy, right, and you focus your energy on a purpose that is greater than your own, you are already successful in anything that you do. So everything you touch will turn to gold. And that's
Definitely.
the beauty. This interview was far more than I expected. I didn't know how we were going to start.
As did I.
But you're a fantastic person to interview.
Definitely.
I think you're a massive asset to our industry, to the boutique cigar world, to the premium cigar world. And I'll tell you what, man, Carrie, thank you for setting this up. Lars?
Yeah.
Hey, it's an honor to be with you guys. It was really a pleasure to hang out with you guys today.
Well, it's not over.
It certainly was. But I got to know, whenever you're in New York, you got to let me know.
Listen, are you in New York or New Jersey?
Queens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll definitely come by and visit. My sister has a house in Queens.
Perfect. I'm in Regal Park, so it'll be easy for me to get around. Now, when you're juggling all 55 things that we tried to touch on today, is there anything you're doing now do you want to talk about with our listeners, whether it's tobacco related or not?
I mean, I think we covered a lot of stuff. I'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about.
Or something new,
Anything new you've been working on? I know that you covered everything from chocolates to tobaccos to handbags to music.
I'll tell you a little story. So I had thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you, brother. I send you my love. When I was about 12 years ago, I got tremendous neuropathy in my feet and my hands. And my doctor said there's no way that you can't cure the neuropathy. And it was going all the way up from my feet, all the way up to my knees. And I was taking heavy dosage of CBD and other stuff, but CBD in dropper form. And it really didn't do anything for me. Once I started smoking the flower with a high level of CBDA and a microdose of THCA, within months, I started feeling a drastic reduction of pain. And now I have no more neuropathy. When they tested me with the needles and all over my legs and my hands, I have no more neuropathy in my hands. I have no more neuropathy in my legs. Only on the bottom of my feet, there's 2 spots on one of my feet and 3 spots on the other that I couldn't feel the needle. But the rest on the top of my feet, all over the rest of my body, no more neuropathy. I really think that CBD is an important part of your everyday health and should be consumed by people regularly. And I don't smoke a lot of it, but I smoke every night. I'll smoke CBD, and it's the flower. Yeah. It's not the.
I was going to ask you about that because I know
smoking the flower changed everything. I don't know why I didn't smoke it before, but I was just thinking that the drops would be more concentrated. But I think the natural flower and just smoking that every day is the one thing that really changed everything in on a health way. And
I was curious because Armin, if you remember, Corey Gregory mentioned that he takes CBD every night. Does. And I've always, and me being, and I think Gabby probably would be in the same, I don't want to speak for you, Gabby, so if I'm wrong, just say, shut the fuck up, Carrie. But I think we're in the same boat when it comes to, claims, non-scientific proven, blah, 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 blah. And especially when it comes to any type of over-the-counter remedies. I know I've done research on over-the-counter different vitamins.
Have you done or performed research?
I've done lots of research, personal research, but I've done research on over-the-counter, vitamins, and a lot of companies out there will say, hey, St. John's wort, this is great for depression. And when you open up the medication, you actually, it's not regulated. It's anything but. And I've heard a lot about CBD, and I've heard a lot about the influences or the impact it has on different disease states. And I think sometimes I believe CBD has an impact in certain disease states, certain areas, and other areas I go, okay, I'm kind of curious about. Is there any, and that's why I asked you, Lars, is there a specific company or a specific CBD that you would say, okay, this is guaranteed to be what you're looking for, versus someone who says, hey, this is CBD, and you have no idea what you're getting?
Okay,
Right.
yeah. So I definitely would like to go ahead and address that. And I'm not like, I can't tell you I'm the authority or expert at this, but I'll just tell you from personal experience and communicating with a lot of people in this industry. I think that everybody's different. Everybody's body's different.
Right.
Our blood type is different. So we react differently to different things. But if you're going to smoke CBD, you should make sure that it has a high level of CBDA in it and a microdose of THCA. Those are very medicinal, helps with the inflammation. It helps with seizures when people are having seizures. There is so much beneficial factors in that I think that as long as you can, I think smoking CBD will really help your body tremendously.
So I do want.
Yeah.
It's been a
And I've heard that, and I've read that before, especially with seizures, anxiety, and even individuals who have had who are on the spectrum, where
Sure.
CBD has been beneficial. But I've always been curious as to the specificity to the CBD of what's helpful versus, as I call it, where it's, if you're not regulated, I could start a company and say, hey, this is XYZ, and it could have nothing in it. And we've seen that happen so many times.
But yeah, that's why smoking it is like better, because they really have tested a lot of the products that have come out with CBD, and there's really nothing in it, or they're using isolate and distillate that really doesn't have the full compounds in it. And you need that. You need the full compounds of all the different entourage effect of the cannabinoids. So if you don't have that entourage effect, I don't think it works properly. And the CBD that I'm manufacturing and putting out now, it's got a full entourage effect with a lot of different cannabinoids, a lot of microdoses, so that you really get that full medicinal effect to it. And so with CBDG, CBDA, microdoses of THCA, the interesting part about it is that when we were young, the good weed that most people smoked had really much more CBD in it than THC. It was a large amount of CBD, so it really was much more beneficial. But then they started to make it high levels of THC and lower levels of CBD, where it was almost no CBD, and that's just not medicinal. So I don't think it really helps with the health benefits. So when you're
I agree with that.
reducing-
My friend's kid suffers from epileptic seizures.
Yeah.
And they had prescribed that, and it's curbed his seizures. I mean, it's incredible.
I keep my medical license active, and I came out as a sports medicine physician, foot, ankle, leg surgeon, and we deal a lot with injuries, athletes, pain, rehabilitation. And the past 2 years at these nationwide medical conferences that I go to, this year I did one virtually, meaning we couldn't all be in San Diego together, so it was done virtually, and they literally hold a CBD seminar so that doctors understand CBD and how to use it to help treat symptoms that their patients are having.
Right.
So it's becoming mainstream, is what I'm trying to say. It's no longer seen as taboo. It's really becoming mainstream, and it's a good alternative to just popping painkillers.
Right,
Absolutely.
most definitely, because painkillers. I mean, when you look at the history of painkillers and what its root is, it's that's the reason why you have people who, and Lord knows, coming from OxyContin, the root of heroin to oxycodone is like second cousin, and that's why I asked Lars with his experience with CBD, because doing the research on CBD and understanding other vitamins, where There's a lot of folks out there. It's a little, yeah, it's a lot of static.
Yeah.
Very staticky.
Or is that
But that was Gabby. That's my question too, is because I think when you talk about I don't want to use the term. It's a pharmaceutical grade, but something that is proven.
Yeah.
It gets a little like, okay, how do you disseminate between a proven pharmaceutical grade CBD that is going to be beneficial for an individual versus not?
So I have a guy who's licensed by the FDA, who has a CBD lab, and we actually work with him because we supply him coffee that he then converts to CBD coffee, and he's crushing it.
Wow. Okay.
We're also in the
I
coffee.
can see why.
Yeah.
So we might just want to have him on the show and discuss. I think Lars is freezing.
Yeah, you're frozen, Lars.
It's all right. But yeah, great topic.
It'll come back.
I think we should have a separate show on CBD.
I'm
good friends with the guys from Tommy Chong CBD. Everybody knows
yeah.
Chong?
Of course. I think he had a booth at was it TPE last year?
Yeah, yes, he did. He was there signing autographs, but he'll pop back in the show.
Yeah,
Guys,
I popped him off until he can get his streaming.
Since I'm Lars Teaton now, you guys want me to play the guitar? I have a guitar I could play.
No, we're good. I have my guitar I can play if you like.
No, I'm kidding.
No, it's not the same. It's definitely not the same.
No, definitely not. Man.
Yeah,
but, I hope he does pop on.
Up.
Yeah, I definitely want to.
Wait a second now.
Well, I popped him back on. I want to see if we're getting some better audio with Lars. He was breaking up a little bit, but
where's he now? Because he said I know he lived in New York and he has.
He's outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Allentown, yeah. Okay.
But that's why I was asking, because there's so many different. I've encountered over the years of people saying I don't want to take this medication.
Wow.
I'm going to take this medication, but I want to take this. I'm going to take that over the counter. And there's so many over the counter medications that or over the counter vitamins that don't have what they say is in it. So there's so many CBD stores popping up. You want to be able to disseminate between what's legit and what's not.
100%.
Well, you just have to get it.
Gabby will tell you. Gabby, when we were in Germany, right? At the expo in the convention center.
Remember those?
We literally walked into it by accident. Carrie, it was an entire section, entire wing.
Oh, we were there
with maybe a million booths, all CBD, all of it.
Yeah, and they had the hottest women in the entire.
Is that the piss booth where they had the urine booth?
Uh,
Let's see if we get Lars back on. Lars. Are you there?
Earth to Lars.
This is ground control to Major Lars.
Armin, give me a movie phone intro to Lars Tetens.
Well, he's got to come on.
This is movie phone.
Here, let me dial. Hold on. All right.
Hello and welcome to Movie Phone, sponsored by the BCA.
That's the I remember that from Seinfeld.
For protecting the legacy, press 1.
Hello, this is Movie Phone.
For zero internet connection, press 2. Jesus Christ.
That's right, Nathan. Supplements are not regulated by the FDA. Maybe they should be, and that's the thing is supplements.
Oh,
are
there's
not
so much shit. Oh my God, go to any GNC or
they're not regulated by the FDA.
Approved. No,
and I kid you not, when I did my research, there was an article, I believe, in Time Magazine that had like 30 different supplements. And they're like, okay, this one says they're St. John's wort. And the majority of the supplements had like 12%, 15%, 20% of what they said they had. And the rest were fillers. And there were some no-name generics that literally had horrible shit. Like it would be like us three saying we're going to start a supplement company and just taking plastic pills and just filling it with dirt and saying, hey, this is vitamin D. This is going to be great, for your skin health. And there's no one to regulate us.
No, and that's why I buy ones that specifically say for tested for all that. I've watched so many specials of how these bogus products, some of them are made in people's homes, and even the before and after photos were bullshit. They were taken the same day. So no, I get it. Hopefully Lars can come back on, but if you guys don't mind, I want to just utilize this
please
next minute because we were talking about things happening in the world, and it's just awful watching.
I think we got Lars
Armenians
back on
in Nagorno-Karabakh, also known as. Oh, there he is.
There he is. Sorry, Armin.
Hey, Lars, man, we appreciate it.
Sorry,
Should
Lars,
I hold up on my
the persistence? Look at that persistence.
I'm going to hold off since Lars is back on, but I am going to make my announcement before we end the show tonight.
A political announcement.
Okay, I just wanted to say one thing that somebody had asked where they could pick up this stuff.
Yes.
CBD. So you can go on to a site named sugalux.com. It's SUGALUX.com. And they carry my CBD smokable flower.
Fantastic.
And they also carry some of my spices and I think hot sauce and some of my bags and stuff.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Lars.
Thanks,
nice.
Lars. I'm going to go back to Armin.
Yeah.
While we're wrapping up, I'm going to go to Armin and then to Gabby and then Lars. I'm going to give you the last word, my man.
Sure.
Go ahead, Armin.
My quick announcement, because
please.
It's all in the news today. We say Artsakh. People know the region is Nagorno-Karabakh, populated by Armenians, and Azerbaijan has broken the ceasefire. There's been, I could say it's war for the past 20 days, and they're being aided by Turkey, and they're bombing civilians, they're bombing churches, they're bombing hospitals. I'm seeing people fleeing, leaving all their belongings behind and fleeing to Armenia. They're just hell bent on just annihilating men, women, and children in that whole area, and it's awful. The rest of the world seems to be watching and really not engaging as they should be. I don't know how NATO or the Red Cross or the Minsk Group or all these other entities are not doing their part, but cities are being destroyed, and even when the war is over, it's gonna take forever to rebuild. So my partner Val and I, Lars, we are Armenian, and we do see what's going on, and we try to involve ourselves in any way we can. So we've decided that from this day until December the 1st, any cigar we sell, whether it's a box, whether it's a bundle, whether it's an ashtray, I don't care if you're a consumer, you're a distributor, you're a retailer, we want to send our proceeds to Armenia Fund to help out with this awful situation as best as we can. So I just wanted to make that quick announcement. And Lars, sir, yeah. Or maybe I should call you Sifu. Honestly, I'll say it. I really didn't know what to expect coming on this show. But let me tell you what I said earlier, half jokingly, about being the most interesting man in the world. Let me tell you, there are people who may take one or two of the things that you do and maybe do it half-ass or not as well. But I mean, what you do, you really embrace life and everything in it. And anything that's a passion to you, you just full steam ahead with all of it. And you just don't let up until you know that you're satisfied with it. I mean, how many things did we go through between your martial arts?
Wow, a lot.
And I know what dedication that takes, and music, and consulting, and restaurants, and sauces, and CBD, and cigars. I mean, I could never wrap my head around how one individual can really do all those things and do it as well as you do. So if that to me isn't inspiring, I don't know what is. So
thank you so
basically much. You've taught there is no limit to what you can do, what you can accomplish. no goal is too high. So, sir, for that lesson alone, thank you so much for being on this show. It was educational. It was inspiring. We've got to do this again. And I am personally going to hold you to getting together when you're in New York.
Oh, 100%. We'll definitely get together.
Definitely.
And please, when we do get off the air, tell me where I can. I'd be happy to send you our cigars. I'd love for you to have them.
I would love to smoke them, and we'll definitely get together. So I just want to say that I know, because a lot of people might feel isolated now because of the COVID. But even when this is over, we really need, more than anything else, put aside any kind of whatever belief system any of us have, and understand that we're all part of one species, the human race. And we need to love and help each other get through this life in the best way possible, without hate or violence. We really need to have peace and love in this world.
Most definitely.
You're here.
Gabby.
Wow. The entire show has been a reality check for all of us. We've been isolated now. At first they said 2 weeks, then 6 months. It's freaking October 16th, right? As far as what you say is the truth, man. We're all part of the same energy ball. I look back at history, and so many amazing people are no longer here with us, but they leave behind a memory. And what you're doing is, and this is where I really have to say I see you as a mentor, because look at me, right? I'm a doctor. I used to own a big game fishing lures company. Now I'm doing cigars. And look, we all have passions for something, but when you have a person like you, and you can't be categorized, because society wants to categorize people, right? Society wants to say, okay, you got this group, you got that group, you got this group. And that's the way the media and society works. And then they put us against each other. But you, my friend, don't belong to any category. That's the beauty of what you do. And I think that's the message we should all take from this show, is don't fall into a category. The only category you should be a part of is to be a great human being, and everything you do, put your heart and soul into it. And thank you for being an example for that tonight. Thank you, Lars.
Yes, thank you guys so much. It was an honor being on here with everyone.
Thank you, man.
When a guy starts off 41 years ago rolling cigars, and Gabby, you hit the nail on the head, not being able to be categorized, and they put a cardboard box in white guy cigars,
white
boy cigars, and everybody's smoking it at $10 a cigar. That says a lot. So, Lars, thanks for being on. Thank you for all the great information. Gosh, we went from everything from cigars to music to chocolate to spices to CBD, everything. But it's been an honor. Like I said, 23 years ago, I walked into a humidor in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, seen the regular cigars, and I seen this box just pop out of nowhere, and picked up a cigar and smoked it. It was your cigars, and I'm here, able to speak to you and interview you. It's been an honor. I'm gonna leave you with the last words before we sign off.
That was like really my main thing. We just all have to love each other and help each other. And really, when you see someone in distress, try to reach out and help, and try to be empathetic to the people around us, so we can survive and get through this thing in the best way we can, with peace and love in our lives.
That's very true.
Beautiful.
Well, I'll tell you what, in a few months, in 6 months, whenever it is, when we have you back on again, I want to see how many more things you've added to your to-do list.
Definitely.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
I got to tell you, from Gabby and Cafe 1901 Cigars, and Armin from DAV Cigars, this is Kerr Viajante from Stogie Road Cigars. We want to thank Lars for being on this evening. It's been a great night. And
thank you so much.
Everybody have a great weekend. If you guys want to stay on, we can chat afterwards. We're gonna end the show. Thank you very much. Wonderful evening, guys. Have a wonderful evening. God bless, and we will see you next week on Protected Legacy.
Thanks for taking the time to join us this past hour. Our show is dedicated to preserving the boutique cigar industry. Federal regulations have put our entire industry in danger. With your support and sharing our message, we hope to educate and create more awareness about the craft and the art of making traditional premium cigars.